horrible death.
Do you work for a boss hole? But if you do work for one, how good would this feel? Going out with a bang, or at least a marching band.
Guys, all of you out right now.
Jared, I'm here to tell you that I'm quitting.
We'll show you the right way and the fun way, and how someone did it live during the Super Bowl. Take this job, and and secret career killers. How many have you made this week without even knowing it?
It's a mistake to be popular. How in the world could that be a bad thing?
The 8 secret booby traps of The Office.
It's inviting disaster.
Cubicle Confidential. And stealing from the supply closet.
Everybody's doing it.
Paper, highlighters, even toilet paper.
I want it, I should have it.
But $1.5 million worth of toner? Tonight, Work Wars. How to wage them, how to win them. Here's Barbara Walters.
Good evening. It's everybody's fantasy to strike it rich by winning the lottery, to say those 2 words, I won, followed by 2 other words, I quit. Well, our Dan Harris has some pointers about quitting the right way, the wrong way, and certainly the noisiest way.
All right, ready?
This is an extraordinary workplace stunt.
So I've worked in this hotel for 3.5 years. They treat us like here.
What you are about to see may be the most in-your-face, gleeful resignation ever captured on video.
I really hated my job.
Joey DeFrancesco, who was 22 when this clip was shot, paid his way through college as a room service waiter, enduring, he says, backbreaking work, involuntary double shifts, low pay, and little respect.
We're making really very little money for extremely hard work.
You make it sound like this was the job from hell.
Yeah. So I knew I had to give them one big last send-off message.
Which is how, after one particularly frustrating day, Joey found himself ushering the fellow members of his marching band, for which he normally plays tuba, through the employee entrance, and then anxiously waiting for his boss to arrive.
I was very nervous. I think you can see in the video, I know I'm pacing back and forth.
And finally, here comes the boss, right there on the left of your screen.
Guys, what is this? Guys, all of you out right now.
Jared, I'm here to tell you that I'm quitting.
How good did it feel to finally pay this thing off?
Right. No, it felt ecstatic. Like I said, it's really liberating to be able to finally take some power back, even just for a moment.
A very creative way to quit your job.
Joey's resignation became an instant online sensation.
Quit his hotel job on a sour note, so to speak.
Guys, all of you out right now.
With nearly 4 million views.
I think what really resonates is that moment where I'm able to look into my boss's eyes and tell him off and tell him that I'm in control.
Joey joining the ranks of what are known as extreme quitters. People who opt to go out with a bang or a shout, like this fed-up warehouse worker. Or this McDonald's employee who deep-fried his future in fast food before skipping town.
2 weeks, I don't care. I'm loving it.
These frustrated employees are often aided and abetted by YouTube as they stick it to the boss with reckless abandon. Doug Walker worked as a night janitor at an automotive electronics factory when he decided he'd had enough.
Being a janitor is not the most glamorous job. You have to take out the garbage. You have to dig your hands into things you don't want to dig your hands into.
So he decided to clean up one final time to the soundtrack of 2001: A Space Odyssey. He took center stage in the company lunchroom and ripped off his shirt.
I knew after I showed my nipples to everybody, I should probably leave.
But not before one final victory lap.
Some people were laughing, as you can see, and they're having a great time. I think they saw, oh, somebody got out.
Some people, however, including his bosses, were not amused, and Doug was literally chased out of the building.
God, they're coming, okay.
Here's the question, though. Is this type of quitting really the wisest?
I think everyone can relate to wanting to just for a moment take the power away from someone who's putting them down in their lives.
Devil's advocate.
Yes.
It wasn't the most professional way to go out.
It's true it was not the most professional way to go out, and I don't think that everyone in the world is in a position to quit in the way that I did.
The following is kind of surprising given the state of the economy, but in fact, plenty of people are quitting their jobs these days, more than 2 million a month. The Department of Labor even has a special category for them. They're called quits. So why are so many people quitting?
I hate my boss, I hate my coworkers, I hate my job. I hate my boss, I hate my coworkers, I hate my job.
Studies suggest, number one, workers feel increasingly overworked and underpaid. 2, they hate their bosses. And 3, they want to become their own boss.
I think America's figured out that it's very simple. You have just as much risk working for a big company that you thought was stable than you do starting your own.
Kevin O'Leary is one of the hosts of ABC's Shark Tank. He is all for ditching a bad work situation, but he is totally against these kinds of stunts.
It's a bad career move. I mean, you know, walking up and throwing a cake in your boss's face and all that stuff, you're just an idiot doing that. Plus, it costs you money.
Kevin is referring to this Friendly's employee, Adam Porter, who decked his boss with an ice cream cake. While in-your-face quitting might feel good in the moment, there are huge potential downsides. Not only do you run the risk of alienating future employers who could see your clip on YouTube, if you take it too far, there can be more serious consequences. After Adam Porter, formerly of Friendly's, carried out his cake attack, he pled guilty to assault and paid hundreds of dollars in fines.
Walk out the door. Don't look back. That's how you quit.
Kevin O'Leary says if you want to quit, follow the example of somebody like Farnia Furnell. She's leaving her job at a New York financial services company with a gracious letter.
It's been an honor working with you.
A civil conversation with her boss, and no cameras around.
I just came from resigning from my position.
Extreme, no. Liberating, yes.
Relieved that I'm actually taking a step and not just talking about taking a step.
It's the start of something new. In some cases, the end of something bad, and a brand new door opens up.
In Furnell's case, it led to the founding of her own consulting firm. But here's a surprise. Extreme quitting may not always be a career killer.
Sometimes the best way to quit a job is also the best way to find a job.
Doug Walker turned his quitting stunt into a new career as an internet comedian.
So I was getting a lot of hits on YouTube, which started from the quitting video, and I've been working as an entertainer ever since. You'll die!
Joey DeFrancesco landed on his feet as well. He's found a new job and he's started a website called Joey Quits, where hotel workers can share their own workplace problems.
Other workers can see that they're not alone and that there are things they can do to fight back.
Today, Joey's become a kind of modern-day Norma Ray. And his band, they are marching on too, recently playing a picket line outside of Joey's former employer.
If you had this to do over again, would you do it again?
Absolutely. I have no regrets. Maybe if everyone did quit like that, it would inspire them to treat people a little bit better.
How have you quit a job in the past? Or what's your fantasy of how you would like to quit? We're on Twitter throughout tonight's program, and we want to know, but keep it civil. Tweet us using the hashtag ABC2020. We'll be right back.
Coming up, wanna quit because you work for a boss hole?
You think your boss is tough? I'll show you tough.
Do you speak to your employees the way you treat the contestants on Shark Tank?
I'm boot camp for the war they're going to go into.
But wait till you hear who was an even bigger boss hole to him.
He was vicious.
Next.
How is this for a greeting? Welcome to hell. You just met the devil. And that's the friendly version from Shark Tank's very own Kevin O'Leary. You know, the one with the big mouth, big opinions, and very big success. So is the only way to get ahead in business by leaving a trail of blood in the water? Our Elizabeth Vargas sat down with the self-proclaimed Mr. Wonderful to find out.
There's a reason people scream when they see a shark. It's the fear of the bite.
You're pigs. Pigs get slaughtered. The next guy's gonna walk in here and get my money, and he'll get rich, but not you. Take the money, you crazy chickens.
On Shark Tank, Kevin O'Leary is the bully in the proverbial black hat. It fits him to a T, and he knows it.
What you see is what you get. I've forgotten about the sky already. Bring on the next deal. I'm here to make money. Well, people say I'm mean, but I really believe this. I tell the truth. I really tell the truth.
Yeah, you tell it, but you tell it brutally.
Well, what do you think happens in the real world? If you think I'm tough, I'm boot camp for the war they're going to go into when they try and run a business.
But do you have to be so mean about it?
You know, I've got a bad rap for that. I couldn't care less.
O'Leary has two things most people don't: a ton of money and a desire to bankroll the dreams of entrepreneurs. People like Jeff Cohen, who dove into the Shark Tank, pedaling a guitar with a collapsible neck.
They fold in half. Kevin seems to be a guy that doesn't like to lose. When he decides he wants something,
bring that over here.
He wants it.
But he didn't get it. Cohen felt Kevin's proposal came with too many strings attached.
I don't accept the deal that's on the table.
You're dead to me when you say no to my deal. You're dead.
In typical O'Leary fashion, there was no goodbye hug.
That is a human tragedy, and he's teaching his son that. It's a crime. He should be arrested.
You can't help, as you watch Kevin O'Leary on Shark Tank, and wonder, is this all an act? This bullying?
It's not an act, and I think of myself as the merchant of truth. I really do.
Outside the tank, the 58-year-old is the man behind O'Leary Funds, a billion-dollar mutual fund company.
Morning, guys.
Do you treat your employees and speak to your employees the way you treat the contestants on Shark Tank?
Yes, sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. For me, business is war. I want to take prisoners. I want to destroy my enemies, my competitors. Don't ever walk in front of me unprepared. Don't ever get in front of me without your numbers. Never bring up a half-baked proposition and waste my time.
But that Caesarean leadership style rubs some people the wrong way. There's even a word for it. Stanford professor Bob Sutton has spent years researching why bosses act the way they do.
When I think of a boss hole, I think of somebody who's got some power or authority over someone. And it's also somebody who leaves that person feeling demeaned and de-energized.
They are a staple in television and film, like those in The Devil Wears Prada.
I'm sorry, Miranda, I actually did confirm last night.
Tales of your incompetence do not interest me.
Sit down.
Working Girl.
This woman is my secretary.
And Glengarry Glen Ross.
You can't close the leads you're given. You can't close. You are. Hit the bricks, pal, and beat it, because you are going out.
And Sutton says life imitates art thanks to real-life characters such as movie producer Scott Rudin, once labeled the most feared boss in Hollywood for his firing of more than 110 personal assistants. Donald Trump, who not only fires contestants on The Apprentice,
You're fired.
but once allegedly fired his own co-star for excessive self-promotion. And the very judgmental Simon Cowell.
Dreadful, pathetic, hated it.
Who wiped out nearly all of the talent on The X Factor after just one season. If your boss possesses similar traits, Sutton explains how to survive.
If you're stuck with the boss hole, then I advise learning the fine art of emotional detachment, acting like you're not there and pretending you're somewhere else.
Sutton also has some advice for employers.
If you're going to be a boss hole, you darn well better keep winning.
O'Leary says it's okay if you don't like a CEO or the decisions he or she makes, because they are not here to please you.
Respect and trust are the backbone of a business, not likability.
Every bully has a bully, and O'Leary met his years ago.
I worked for Steve Jobs, and if you think I'm tough, you should have met him.
Really?
Oh, my goodness. He berated me in a boardroom once in front of my own employees. He was vicious.
Like worse than you on Shark Tank.
I am a nothing burger compared to what he was.
But the roots of O'Leary's management style run deeper, back to childhood memories of his father, a failed salesman.
He died when he was 37 years old.
37? Of what?
A broke alcoholic, alone in an apartment. That's what happened to him.
Before his father died, O'Leary says his parents were in a dysfunctional marriage. So much so, his mother took him and his brother and fled to Europe. Only 7 years old at the time, O'Leary remembers it like it was yesterday.
I remember being in Oslo one night, and she completely broke down. I mean, just because she was running out of money. She was in total fear. I could sense it. I said to myself, wow, this is bad. I can't let this happen to me. I just intuitively, her DNA passed to me on that fear. And it's changed me forever.
Years later, her fortunes would change, and she would loan her son $10,000 for the software business he would later sell for billions.
Many people have tried to figure out what I'm worth. I have enough to get by. I'm okay.
O'Leary has all the toys that come with success, the cars, the private jets, even a secret location that stores a private wine collection as massive as his ego. This is what $1 million in wine looks like. No surprise, it includes his very own label.
That is nectar from the nipple of Aphrodite.
Just another taste of the good life for the man they call Mr. Wonderful. A life that includes Linda, his wife of more than 20 years, and their 2 kids, both of whom will have to make it on their own because Dad isn't sharing the wealth.
Like nothing?
Nothing. I'll pay their entire way right through the end of their education as far as they want to take it. But when that's over, it's over. And good luck.
So if your daughter calls you up and says, Daddy, I'm in terrible trouble, I desperately need some money.
The answer is no. Go fix it. Go figure it out.
Figuring it out is what O'Leary does best. Remember the collapsible guitar deal that collapsed? Well, negotiations continued behind the scenes, and the 2 sides are now in perfect harmony.
I love guitars. I knew that was going to be a hit. I knew it. I just had to get a piece of it. When you really want it, when you really feel it, and you know viscerally it connects, listen to your gut, buy. That's what I say.
Have you ever suffered at the hands of a horrible boss, and who hasn't? Then tell us about it on Twitter using the hashtag ABC2020. We'll be right back.
Coming up, need some free paper and highlighters? That's why they invented the supply closet, right? Even borrowing from the office fridge or the bathroom.
Give me a break, it's just toilet paper.
But $1.5 million worth of toner?
Of course you should be fired.
Next. "2020 continues with Supply Closet Klepto. Are you one? Here's Gio Benitez.
Admit it, you've probably made off with some of those tempting goodies in the office supply closet. After all, an estimated 75% of us steal from the office. The most popular items? Post-it notes, tape, scissors, and those highlighters. No harm, no foul, right? Well, the boss might not agree.
There's very little flexibility for theft. That's what it is. You're stealing, of course you should be fired.
Turns out employee sticky fingers cost companies over $50 billion a year.
Every item in here has value and costs money. So when you start to add it all up and people stealing it, those numbers can really increase.
Firms are now cracking down big time, hiring investigators like celeb PI Bo Dietl and installing surveillance cameras to sniff out workplace thieves.
Putting cameras everywhere? Is that the answer?
No, it's not illegal to put that pin-eye lens camera into your storage room. It's your opportunity to determine if someone's stealing from you.
In fact, we were hit by an office thief here in the 2020 pantry. Someone was taking cartons of milk and boxes of coffee. The solution? We installed a phony security camera and the problem went away. But watch as this Texas police officer gets nailed by a real camera. While raiding the break room fridge, he takes a soda here, a sandwich there, and then another soda. The price of getting caught red-handed? A 30-day unpaid suspension. Embarrassing. But probably not as embarrassing as the case of this Colorado woman who was fired from the hospital where she worked after she was caught helping herself to the office stash of toilet paper.
It humiliates you. It makes you angry. I'm not a thief.
She claims she was donating the toilet paper to Iraq War veterans. Her bosses didn't buy that.
There's probably never a good reason to steal.
Psychotherapist Robbie Ludwig has treated office thieves. She says people often look at office theft as a harmless way to get back at the boss.
It's not uncommon to go to work and feel like you're not appreciated enough for who you are, if you're not getting paid enough.
Of course, pocketing a few highlighters is one thing, but this guy we tracked down took the concept to a whole new level, transforming himself from a mild-mannered supply clerk at a respected New York cancer hospital into the John Dillinger of office supply theft.
And I was just hoping and hoping, praising God that I don't get caught.
Marquis Gums says his life of crime began the day a stranger approached him with a curious proposition. Order expensive printer toner cartridges on the hospital's dime and then sell them to him right out the back door.
Whoever was coming to get it would just meet me downstairs at the loading dock, and then we take it from there.
Gums was diving headfirst into what authorities say is a thriving black market in bootleg printer toner. Believe it or not, this stuff is so lucrative, it's been called black gold. In fact, just one of these can cost hundreds of dollars. Middlemen sell the stolen toner at cut-rate prices, often online on Craigslist or eBay. It all adds up to big-time profits. In Gums' case, literally bags full of cash.
They're calling me back with the money in a potato chip bag.
In a potato chip bag?
Yes, like $3,600 for that one day.
Over 2.5 years, Gums sold $1.5 million worth of hot printer toner. Those potato chip bags full of cash paid for fancy clothes, jewelry, even a ritzy apartment at Trump Plaza in New York.
I bought a BMW white X6. I had a Range Rover. I go to the dealer and just pick out any car I want, booking trips. Cancun, Mexico, the Bahamas, you name it, it's like I was there.
And it's not just Gums. Other toner thieves have made big bucks with this brazen scam. In Washington state, Office Depot employee Dion Alexander made off with over $500,000 of printer toner. He was caught on camera using a forklift to deliver a load to an accomplice, who later fenced it on eBay. Alexander got a 16-month jail sentence. Gums, too, was busted after making a fatal mistake. The hospital realized he was ordering toner cartridges for printer models that were no longer in use. So that moment the hospital figured out what you were doing, what was going through your mind?
It was surprising because I didn't know they was going to catch on that fast. And when they caught on, it was just like from night and day. Everything just happened.
The moment they caught on, everything just ended for you?
Ended for me. I never saw daylight again.
Gums was convicted of grand larceny. After 18 months behind bars, he's now out on parole.
I feel bad because I know I hurt a lot of people, and I want to apologize to the hospital, too.
Who was disappointed most in you?
My mom, because she didn't bring me up like this. It was just something that I wanted to do to make everybody happy.
So, workers of the world, think twice before you swipe that sandwich. You may just be heading down a slippery slope straight to the slammer. Was it worth it?
To be honest with you, no, it wasn't worth
it. Next, how far would you go to please a demanding boss?
I needed a job and I had a family, so I did what I was told.
But what about when the boss asks you to do this?
Go dig a hole in the desert somewhere.
And later, the 8 secret booby traps that could keep you from earning that corner office. A list you don't want to miss. "2020 continues. Once again, Barbara Walters.
How far would you go to please a demanding boss? Pick up their lunch, their dry cleaning, even do their kids' homework? But what if it required really getting your hands dirty by digging a grave? Jim Avila has the story.
Welcome to Arizona Shower Door, a sprawling box of a company in Phoenix, lined with palm trees, where 46-year-old Patrick King had tried to earn a living and support his family. That is, until he got a call from his boss to meet him here in this bank parking lot for a special favor. That's Patrick's truck. Inside is Patrick and his boss, Fred Nadler, and this is their day-off conversation.
What I need you to do super secrecy. Okay. Let's go dig a hole in the desert somewhere.
Dig a hole in the desert? Sound odd, even suspicious? Not to Patrick. In fact, it was just the kind of thing he was expecting after 5 years of working for Nadler, a self-made millionaire and owner of Arizona Shower Door, whose corporate credo was as clear as the glass he peddled.
This is my company, you work for me, and if you don't like it, there's the door.
Was he serious?
Oh, yeah.
Patrick started out as a crane driver, but quickly became Fred's right-hand man.
And what kind of boss was he? Ruthless.
So ruthless that Patrick says he was working 85 to 90-hour weeks, but only being paid for 40.
I missed my kids being born. I didn't take any time off. He made me come back to work 4 or 5 hours later.
And if Patrick had any objections, he said Fred had a special way of reminding him who was boss.
He made me carry a paycheck stub that said Fred B. Nadler on it. 2-3 times a week, I'd have to pull out a paycheck. And he goes, "Who signs your paycheck?" And I said, "Well, it says Fred B. Nadler, sir." He goes, "Are we clear?" And I said, "Crystal clear."
And he wanted you to do whatever he said?
Whatever, no matter what it was or what time of the day.
Personal, private, business, anything?
Everything.
Including, he says, spying on his boss's wife.
And he had me get a phone for his wife and put hidden GPS in it and track her 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I complained about a lot of the stuff there and not wanting to do it, but I needed a job and I had a family, so I did what I was told.
But Patrick's connection with Fred's wife would reach far beyond her cell phone signal. Libby Nadler, like Patrick, was living in a prison of her own, under the thumb of a controlling husband, who she says ran the home just like his office.
Everything was fine as long as I went along with it, with whatever he did. He would just tell me if I didn't like it, I could leave.
Not all of their 18 years of marriage had been like that, of course.
When he told me that he wanted to marry me, he told me that we were going to have a wonderful life.
And it was. Trips, a nice home. They even adopted and raised 2 children together. But Fred, she says, always was clear about one thing.
He didn't like to spend money. He only liked making it. In his mind, he thought that everything was his. He didn't want to share, not with me, not with anybody else, as long as he was alive.
Which meant divorce would be a little tricky. That's when, according to Patrick, Fred's behavior took a twisted turn.
He started dropping these little subtle hints and say stuff like, "It's getting me a lot of money for you."
Coming from a boss who allegedly thought worker pay was optional, the promise of a big bonus seemed to Patrick a major red flag. Sure enough, 3 days later,
my phone rings, caller ID, and it said Spike on it. And he goes, "We need to meet."
Which brings us back to this parking lot.
And as soon as I stopped here, he got up, started walking over. So he comes over, and as soon as he gets in, I hit record on this recorder. And I have it sitting right here, and I push record, and I set it right here on the ledge. We're sitting here talking.
What I need is somebody I can trust. That's me. Let's go dig a hole in the desert somewhere. That's easy to do, especially in Arizona. That's right. You got to do it at such a time and a place that nobody can see you do it.
He finally said, she filed for divorce. She's going to ruin the company. There's going to be 180 employees and families out of work. You're going to be the savior. You're going to save the company. I was just like, I didn't want to believe it.
I will give you a bundle to put in that hole, okay? I'm not telling you what's going to be in the bundle. Be wrapped in a blanket or a sheet or something. Okay. And just keep quiet. So that's easy the rest of your life.
He pulls out a stack of money wrapped in a yellow band, $1,000. I'm going, just for showing up, I'm taking care of you, and he throws it at me.
So this man who never gave you anything, maybe $20, gives you $1,000 all of a sudden. And Fred, he says, promised more. $10K every year that Patrick stayed with the company and kept his trap shut. That Patrick could not do. Instead, this loyal worker had enough, immediately going to police and handing over that tape. Fred was arrested that evening, Libby watching as he was handcuffed and taken away from their house.
The detective said, "Your husband was going to kill you." I told the police that's not true. No, I didn't believe it.
When did it sink into you?
That question is very hard because I still I still can't believe it. Sometimes you don't realize it when you are with a controlling person what the outcome would be.
Patrick foiled all this. Patrick saved your life, right?
He did. He's my angel, and I keep telling him that.
And that angel dutifully returned to work the following Monday to report to his new boss. Actually, two new bosses, Fred's sons.
You save a woman's life. Bad guy's in jail. They gave you a raise and a hearty handshake when you got back to work, right?
No.
His reward for saving a woman's life? Patrick was put on paid leave. Then, he says, out of the blue, 6 months later, he was sacked. His parting bonus? A phone call from the prosecutor who was about to take Fred Nadler to trial.
And he goes, we have him hiring somebody to come and kill you before the court date. He doesn't want you on the stand. You got a seat right here, buddy.
Fred, according to prosecutors, was up to no good, even from behind bars. This is Fred a few months ago.
Nope, it's us alone.
Caught on tape again. And this Santa Claus lookalike had an early Christmas gift for his ex-wife and former employee.
Yeah, apparently you got a job you'd like me to do.
Yes, sir. I got 2 jobs.
I'm going to need names. I'm going to need where they live. I'm going to know what you want me to do.
Well, Patrick King.
What do you want me to do?
Whack this guy.
Okay. Who else?
My ex-wife. There's going to be a lot of scrutiny with these 2 people passing.
Okay.
Significant people in my life. That's caused me a great deal of problems.
But Nadler had more. The hit on Libby required some special handling.
You have dogs?
Yes. 2 little dogs. They only stand about this high.
Meet Fritzy and Shotzi, who Fred apparently wanted the hitman to take care of as well.
They're my love of my life. If there's anything I do love that's left, it's my 2 little puppies. So I just like to make sure if it's a day or 2 before somebody finds someone, that they have plenty of water and there's a bag of dog food in the laundry room. Just make sure we got a little something to eat for a while.
Nadler might not see Fritzy and Shotzi for a while. He was charged with conspiracy to commit murder and conspiracy to commit abandonment of a body. He agreed to a plea deal that lands him in prison for 8 years. Even though the ordeal has turned his life upside down, Patrick says he has no regrets.
You're a working man, right? You're struggling to make life good for your family. Here's a guy who's offering you at least 10 grand. Were you ever tempted in any way to go on with this?
No. I don't care if he would have whipped out $1 million right there on the spot. It would have been the same outcome.
Next, the secret booby traps in every office.
Companies say multitasking is what they want. It's not really what they want.
Plus, why lamps are good, photos are bad, and what you don't want to say to HR.
It's inviting disaster.
Coming up to keep you from going down. 2020 continues with office booby traps. Here's Paula Ferris.
From the entire Channel 4 News team, I'm Veronica Corningstone.
And I'm Ron Burgundy. Go yourself, San Diego.
To avoid the dreaded pink slip, it's easy to avoid the obvious slip-ups. Well, obvious to most of us.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast.
Just like Ron Burgundy,
I gotta fire you.
this anchorman's now infamous first-day F-bomb had a predictable outcome.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, AJ.
Oh, I know. He was fired. But while some career killers are crystal clear, the workplace is rife with hidden do's and don'ts.
Can a person be completely oblivious that their career is being jeopardized?
Oh, all the time. There are lots of different ways to get fired, and sometimes you'll never know what you did wrong.
Cynthia Shapiro is a former human resources executive. In her tell-all book, Corporate Confidential, she reveals the secret office no-nos nobody tells you. Often behavior people think is good.
You talk about these hidden career landmines in your
Yes.
book. It sounds terrifying.
It can be. You just need to know where they are so that you can avoid them.
Let's call them the 8 secret sins at the office. Office sin number 8, being popular. Being part of the in crowd could put you on the outs.
We all want to be popular. How in the world could that be a bad thing?
It's a big one. Being popular can erode your job security very quickly. It leads to sharing too much personal information at work. I've sat in meetings where the CEO said, I heard this person's going through a nasty divorce. Let's not promote them. Friendships, need to be very strategically crafted.
Doesn't sound like much of a friendship.
It is more of an alliance.
Office sin number 7, multitasking. If you pride yourself on typing, talking, calculating, and chomping all at the same time, you're not alone.
In this economy, you can't afford to take a break.
This Saturday Night Live skit suggests a bathroom office to allow multitasking everywhere. But Shapiro says multitasking actually makes your performance tank. Studies show that dividing your attention between tasks can decrease efficiency and accuracy.
Companies say multitasking is what they want. It's not really what they want. What they really want you to do is focus in with laser beam focus on one thing and then switch to another and switch to another and switch to another.
Office sin number 6, talking to human resources. Even though your company will always say it's best to take your troubles to HR, that can be an RX for trouble.
Most people assume that what they tell HR is confidential.
All that means is they're not going to blab it to the other employees, but they will absolutely tell your boss.
So if I'm having a problem with my boss, which I'm not, who do I go to?
Well, I would encourage you to figure it out yourself.
Another office error, mistaking your cubicle for your living room. Office sin number 5, over-decorating. Shapiro says you may think it's smart to make your space cozy and comfy, but it could really be a career killer.
Companies will say, here's your space, this is yours.
Do with it what you want.
Yeah, do whatever you want with it. It's kind of an unconscious test of loyalty and values, because if you fill it with troll dolls and crystals or religious things, it's going to make them feel really, really uncomfortable.
So you're saying we shouldn't pimp out the cubicle?
It can really work against you very quickly.
All right, so
we brought Shapiro on a tour of the ABC offices to provide the boss's view of office decor.
A really messy office and a really chaotic office, they would translate that into a chaotic thinker.
An illuminating tip, lamps are good.
Again, we have the lamps on either side, which is basically advertising that this person works late nights.
Shapiro says family photos can be risky.
It's telling the employer that this person would rather be at home with their kids.
And if you're thinking of bringing your actual children to the office to show them off or tout your family values, Shapiro says time out. Office sin number 4, bringing your kids to work.
If your kid decides to have a temper tantrum, it will reflect on you. If you can't control a child, how's he gonna manage the company, that kind of thing. It's inviting disaster.
Another recipe for disaster, bringing in yummy treats for your coworkers. Office sin number 3, feeding others. Wait, what could be wrong with that?
This is particularly a mistake for women.
Dr. Lois Frankel, author of Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office, says to be taken seriously, leave the baking to Betty Crocker.
It's a nice thing to do. It's